Hello everyone. I would like to discuss the ability to run Lumion when you're not sitting in front of the computer that is running Lumion. And how would you get into a situation like that? Well, as we can see with the requirements for running Lumion, you need quite a good computer. Your minimum requirements are not so great. It basically asks for a graphics card memory of 4 GB or more and a GPU scoring card of 7000 or higher. And they give the example of the 1650 or the Quadro K600, somewhere around there. But then also, if you look at your RAM, minimum 16, preferably a hard drive. For those of you that's worked with Lumion before, you'd know that this is really the minimum requirements. The recommended requirements are a bit more extensive. RTX 2070, 32 GB or more, and a nice NVMe M.2 storage. So it's already getting to be quite a, well, essentially a good gaming PC. And then if you do work on high complex or high-end requirements, then you're going to need something much more powerful, as you can see on the screen there. Now, when you go and look at your laptops, you'll find that they are very expensive when it comes to this sort of level, whereas you can pick up a desktop for a fraction, say about 2/3 of the price of that laptop, and even then you are going to have superior performance. But of course, many of us have to travel with our laptops, and it turns into an issue. Now, recently I have been testing with a nice large machine that's in the office. We call it the Beast. It's quite an old machine. Really, it's a few years old. It's not cutting edge technology anymore, but it's got a very good graphics card at 1070. It's got 32 gigs of RAM and a nice fast hard drive. So it's perfectly capable of doing some larger Lumion renders. And I would like to leverage that whenever I like. And so I tried TeamViewer to TeamView in with that machine to see if I could operate Lumion. And I discovered very quickly that, I was basically wasting my time. Yes, one needs a fast internet connection. I've got about anything from 20 to 30 symmetrical at home. At the office, 100 symmetrical line. But even then, there was a latency, there was a lag between my input into the computer and what I got back. So I'm of the opinion then that I wanted to find out, look, is it possible to run Lumion on a machine from anywhere in the world, basically as a thin client, just having an interface for you to remote in with a bigger PC? And I looked around a bit and I saw that Lumion has this excellent article about whether Lumion is compatible with remote desktops or cloud services. Now, I'm only interested in one part of this, but they go into an extensive explanation of what is possible. So this is an article I recommend you read, especially if you travel a lot and maybe you can't lug a big PC around that you've dedicated to Lumion, but you'd still like to be able to do some work while you are flying or traveling or in a situation where you don't have access to the big computer. And so they talk about what it is, what is the compatibility, what are the benefits, and then some important things to keep in mind while using that. So not only do they talk about virtual computers, but they also talk about remote computers or remote software that you can use to require it. So this article E, remote desktop programs to control a computer you own that works well with Lumion. This is specifically what that I was interested in, not so much the virtual computers that you could of course rent from other companies. But this is exactly what I was after. If you own a powerful computer and you wish to remote control it over the internet, here are some programs you can use. It's important to test these programs for yourself, as individual circumstances might change the experience you get. And then they also give some requirements. Everything must be installed at the office. You must get permission, of course, from your bosses if you are not and then the software and license key. It's just basically telling you that you need to keep within the EULA of the license agreement of your company. So if you don't own a license or operate under the auspices of a company that owns the license, then you should not be using that computer. And then it's interesting what they mention here. I'm familiar with some issues that has occurred when people use cloud services like Dropbox and OneDrive, that it doesn't operate always with the Lumion files, especially if they don't sync fast enough. But this sentence really piqued my interest. Our live sync technology interfacing to your 3D modeling or BIM does not require any other special connections, and in general things like Autodesk BIM 360 will continue to work as if you were working on local files. So there's that, and I'm testing also saving Lumion files into Autodesk BIM 360, which is now called Autodesk Docs or Autodesk Collaborate Pro, one of those licenses. I'm testing that out. It hasn't given me any hassles yet, so I'm hoping to see on some heavy projects whether that actually does give me grief, and if it does, then I won't be using that. I'd rather use my local drive only. But for now, with my own projects, I am still not recommending to clients that they use the Autodesk Cloud to save their Lumion files on, but I am trying to see if I will pick up any problems when I do that, especially with very large projects. It could be an issue. So just note that for safety's sake, you should still be working on your local hard drive. Then the best results that they mention over here was gotten with Parsec. Parsec, if I remember correctly, it's the speed or the distance that light travels in a year. So they've named their software Parsec. It's software that you can install on 2 or more computers that you own. For example, you can install it on your work PC and remote it from anywhere using another PC or a Mac. Alright, so can you run Lumion on a Mac? No. But can you remote into a desktop that runs Lumion? Yes. And it says it prioritizes low latency connection that has fast streaming technology to ensure a smooth experience while remote controlling your work PC. Parsec has a free version and also a paid version for professionals and teams. Now, of course, if you are going to earn money with the software, if you are going to earn an income, if you're using it professionally, then you should definitely invest in their technology and help that company to of course become a success with their offering. And then they also talk about Microsoft Remote Desktop thing, TeamViewer, which in my case I do not recommend. It does not work for me. Although we do own a license, it does not work for me. Cloud services, if you do want to use virtual machines, they go on and explaining about that. And of course I do not have one of those, so I will not be testing, but this Parsec was then since they said it's the best results, okay, let's try Parsec. It's very simple. You follow the link and you download and install the software, and after it's installed, it will run in the background of your computer. You can see that the service is running in the background there. Now this laptop that I've got over here is really below the entry-level specifications for running Lumion. Although the processor and the RAM is good for minimal, the graphics card is really not up to it. If I look at the display menu, you can see Lumion has grown over the years, and of course it runs almost exclusively off the graphics. So there you can see it's also installed this virtual display adapter there, Parsec. But there's my graphics card, sort of low end, doesn't get a good score on the Lumion benchmark. So when I tried to run Lumion 12.3 on this PC, it wouldn't even respond. It wouldn't give me a screen. It was just black. I couldn't work with Lumion. And then I tried TeamViewer and it didn't work. And now I've installed Parsec, and I tested it this afternoon and I'm very impressed. So I'm going to open up Parsec just to show you how that works. And there's the desktop, the machine that's got the good specifications. So I can connect to that machine. So once we open up Lumion, that's now on the big machine. It's going to take a small while to load, and then we'll open up one of the sample files just to see how the computer responds. So we're not connected to the same network. We're working over the internet. The internet is, while it is a good speed, it's not super fast. So if I do a speed test, you will see what my home network is like this evening. So that's not super fast, sort of towards the low end of 20, just below 20 for the download. Sunday evening, I suppose everybody's watching movies in the neighborhood maybe. And then with the upload, it's also around about between 20 and 30, and that's pretty much constant where I live. It's sufficient for Autodesk applications and now also for Lumion, and so I am happy with that. And here we've got the examples. Let's go and have a look at one of these examples. There's the Farnsworth House, downtown development, another house. This Valley Winery, I know, is something that my computer would never be able to do. But let's open that. And once that is open, I will try and give you a visual audio cue as to what I'm doing with the keys, just so you can understand how quick this thing is. This Parsec software really does do the job for me on this network, relatively slow network, remoting into the Lumion PC. And there we can see the image coming through. So I'm going to press D, and I'll tell you when I'm pressing it. So I'll call out D when I press D. 3, 2, 1, D. So you can see the response is almost immediately. I'm going right, left, up, down, and I can navigate the house with this big PC, even though I'm running it off a very small sort of little PC. Alright, now let's have a look at the settings in Lumion. I'm going to push the editor quality all the way up. I was working on quite a large program the other day. Set the settings down a bit, and there we can now see in the editor at least the maximum, but the maximum resolution that I can get on this PC. But you can see, even though it's not super clear 4K definition or anything, you can definitely still work with the model, and your mouse controls are pretty stable. You come in close to trees, the controls work very well. If you wanted to place objects, it's quite easy. There, I'm going to place a high definition tree maybe. There's a nice big palm. And there really is no problem just working with the software and being able to navigate carefully and meticulously, and to see at least what one is designing. So definitely for work purposes. Of course, once you render, you can send the results through to whoever needs to see them. So that would be my recommendation, and I hope as well that it's been of benefit to you to think maybe to use Parsec to remote in with Lumion. I know I will be doing so from here on if I don't have access to the big machine by default. Until next time, enjoy Lumion.